Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Welcome to Reflection in Faith, your go-to podcast for deep conversations about life, faith, and navigating this ever-changing world. I'm your host, Farhad Omar, and today we have a truly exciting episode lined up for you. Joining us are two incredible young minds, both from Gen Z, who bring their unique perspectives on balancing faith and modernity. Let me introduce our first guest, Arif, a thoughtful, bright young man who's always been passionate about understanding the intersection of Islamic teachings with today's fast-moving world. Welcome, Arif.
Salam, everyone. Thanks so much for having me, Farhad. It's an honor to be here.
And we also have the inspiring Jamila, an awesome young woman who's deeply invested in exploring how Muslim identity can thrive amidst modern challenges. Jamila, it's wonderful to have you on the podcast today.
Salam alaikum, Farhad. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
The topic for today's episode is Gen Z Muslims navigating faith and modernity. Arif and Jamila, I know you've both thought a lot about what it means to stay connected to your faith while living in an increasingly virtual and fast-paced world. Let's dive right into it.
Thanks, Farhad. So, one thing I've noticed is that Gen Z Muslims are definitely different from previous generations. Our parents were more focused on things like stability and financial security. But for us, social impact, ethical spending, and environmental consciousness seem to be bigger priorities.
Exactly. And to me, it's not just about trends. It's connected to what Islam teaches us. Our deen emphasizes taking care of the earth, standing for justice, and being responsible with what we consume. So it makes sense that we're drawn to these causes. I know so many young Muslims who will spend extra just to support sustainable businesses.
Yeah, I read that nearly half of Muslim Gen Z identify as environmental enthusiasts. That's huge, but sometimes I worry we're focusing so much on activism and lifestyle choices that we're drifting away from the basics of our faith. Like, are we losing sight of the core practices?
I've thought about that too. I remember going to an iftar gathering last Ramadan, and some people didn't even know what tasahhud is. It wasn't just one person. A lot of people were missing even basic Islamic knowledge, and it made me wonder, how did we get here?
It's hard, right? I feel like Islamic education hasn't adapted to our world today. A lot of the teachings feel outdated or disconnected from our daily lives. And then, on top of that, we're surrounded by secular messages that tell us religion isn't relevant anymore. It's like we're living between two worlds.
And technology plays a big role in that struggle. I love that we have access to so much Islamic content online, but it's overwhelming sometimes. There's so much misinformation and conflicting ideas out there. It's hard to know what's authentic and what's just noise.
Absolutely. Social media can be such a powerful tool. It connects us to other Muslims, gives us access to scholars, and helps us engage with the world. But at the same time, it can be really toxic. Sometimes I feel like it pulls us away from our spirituality more than it helps.
Yes. And now with AI, virtual reality, and all these emerging technologies, things are going to get even more complicated. I wonder how we'll stay grounded in our faith when everything around us becomes virtual. What if people start relying on AI-generated imams or virtual prayer spaces instead of physically going to the masjid?
That's such a scary thought. There's something really special about being physically present in the masjid, praying side by side with others. I don't think any amount of virtual connection can replace that feeling.
That's a really interesting perspective, Arif. Despite these challenges, do you both still feel hopeful about the future?
Definitely. I think our generation is asking the right questions. We want to understand why we practice Islam the way we do, and we're trying to live authentically, not just following routines. There's a lot of self-reflection happening, and that gives me hope.
Yeah, I agree. We're not just blindly following tradition, we're trying to engage with it meaningfully. I think that's a positive thing, even if it's difficult at times.
And we're seeing more Muslim women stepping into leadership roles, challenging outdated norms, and advocating for equality within an Islamic framework. It's inspiring to see how our generation is actively shaping the future of the Ummah.
It really is. And it reminds me that even though the world is changing fast, our faith is a constant. It's up to us to carry it forward in a way that's relevant but still authentic.
So, what do you think is the way forward? How can Gen Z Muslims like yourselves strike a balance between modernity and faith?
I think it starts with community. We need spaces, both physical and digital, where young Muslims feel supported and can grow in their faith. And we need religious leaders who understand the challenges we're facing and can guide us with empathy.
Yeah, community is key, and we also need to give ourselves grace. It's okay to ask questions, to struggle, and even to make mistakes. What matters is that we keep turning back to Allah.
Absolutely. The world might keep changing, but as long as we stay connected to our faith, we'll find our way. It's all about taking small, intentional steps.
Arif and Jamila, thank you both so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences today. This has been such a meaningful conversation, and I'm sure our listeners will feel inspired by what you've shared.
Thank you for having us, Farhad. It's been a great conversation.
Yes. Thank you, Farhad. It's always a pleasure to discuss these things with like-minded people.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Reflection in Faith. If you found value in today's conversation, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep these conversations going and reach more people. Until next time, stay connected to your faith, stay curious, and stay hopeful. Assalamu alaikum, and take care, everyone.